can't wrap it up here. Okay, so what we're looking at now are the UK's energy use. So in A, this is the energy use in 2009. So you got your three biggies: gas, coal, and oil. There's some nuclear, then there's some others. There's only 3.5 others. Now, if we look towards B, which they're calling the pathway alpha, moving towards 2050, nuclear has vastly expanded. The total energy has also expanded. Coal has been reduced. Natural gas has been very much reduced. Oil, not as much, and I can only imagine that's because they're still thinking that the combustion engine is going to be in place, because very little oil is used for electricity, and I would be astonished if that changes in any way, just because of how valuable oil is and much more valuable for transportation. But now what's expanded, we've got three new colors there. We've got the blue, the yellow, and the green. That little 3.5 sliver has now increased to, what is that, 38%. So we've gone up by a factor of 10 in, well, 40 years on those guys. And then C, this is the pathway gamma with low nuclear. In fact, nuclear is just off the map. There's no nuclear, and the UK is getting by with 8.4 exajoules of energy, and you would sort of hope by then they're more efficient. Okay, the International Energy Agency. Let's just look up their website. A lot of times I'll Google something and they'll come up. International Energy Agency. Let's take a look at these guys. So, International Energy Agency, a great clearinghouse for information. Publications, dig in here. Energy Tech Perspectives 2015. You know, if you're looking for where your career might be, just take a peek in there, see what these guys have to say. Medium-term oil market, World Energy Outlook. There's your gas market, medium-term. So good resources, free publication. Supplementary education here, and they list them all. There's just about every one chapter per 102 is sitting right there in front of you. Okay, but this would be a future without nuclear. Okay, so this next figure, key technologies that will reduce CO2 emissions by the IEA, what they're calling the blue map scenario. So this would be our business as usual, and you guys remember from your summary 3 that here we are in 2015, and well, let's go check it out. Actually, we're getting pretty close to the end of the year. Let's just see where worldometers are at the moment. Worldometers. I did hear that we might emit less CO2 in 2015 than we did in 2014. That might be not such a bad way to end the year. Okay. We're at 34.4, and how many days are left in the calendar year? 21. So if we do 365 minus 21 equals, so there we are, 344 days so far. Let's divide that Actually, let's see, how do we do this? Let me pencil it out so I don't screw this up. So if we want to project the carbon emissions to the end of the year, and we assume it's linear, we're going to do 344 over 365 equals X over 34.4 billion. 34.4. You guys see how I did that? X is sort of the bottom line number of days for 365, and we're at day 344, and that works out kind of interestingly. Billion tons a day. I didn't see that coming, but yeah, billion tons a day. There they are. Okay, so it's pretty simple math. Move the decimal point over. So we're poised for 36.5 gigatons in 2015. I want to say the number was a little higher in 2014, but anyway. So where does that compare? 2015, we're actually above. This is a little weird, but this is what the future looked like 5 years ago. But we're here now, and we're actually above the business as usual. And there's a variety of reasons for that. I mean, I can only think that the relatively cheap price of gasoline is contributing to it. You know, when it's cheap, people buy it. When people buy it, you get more carbon in the atmosphere. Okay, but if we do carbon capture and sequestration, we can reduce that. If we bring on more renewables, we can reduce it. Using nuclear, it goes down as well. Generation efficiency, so kind of smart grid kind of stuff. End use fuel switching, so getting away from the coal, and then end use fuel and electricity efficiency. Again, just driving lighter vehicles, switching out light bulbs, that kind of thing. It's still, though, I mean, Tynan, I think I heard this number too, that to dodge the 2-degree bullet, we need to drop emissions by 75%. So let's just see what that number is and where that is on this map. So what do we say? We're at 36.5 times, 36.5 times, let me start the calculator. Clear the memory. Okay, 36.5 times 0.25 equals 9. So the blue map isn't even on the map for where the climate negotiations seem to be now. And again, I'm not a climate scientist. I have not seen their thermal predictions, but again, this book is, it's 5 years old now, and it could be, and these climate models are changing all the time, and yeah, maybe the new prediction is this has to happen in a much bigger way. All right, we'll see. Unless you're Ben Carson, everything's fine. The world's actually getting cooler, according to Carson, right? All the NASA data is wrong. The thermometers have been rigged. The science are conspiring to. Yeah.
Sounds like quite a fella.
Pretty cute.
Well, that's my brother says too.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't know scientists, do you? You can't get them to agree on anything, let alone a conspiracy.
Us conspiring, us conspiring to create gravity. All right, right, so 14.3, world energy use. So this is the total global energy use. So A is percentage contributions of various energy sources to world primary consumption in 2009. The blue map scenario has, gosh, much bigger for hydro and other. I don't know, I'm not that impressed because they don't actually call out wind or solar, but and I don't know, it looks like they're getting their data from BP, from British Petroleum. Well, I'm guessing that BP is publishing how much they're using, but I guess I would be a little dismayed if BP was creating energy policy. It does not seem like it's their place to do that. All right, figure 1432. The question is, can the global temperature be stabilized? And there's our 2 degrees Celsius again. It said, will a 50% reduction in global CO2 by 2050 be enough? Perhaps not. This takes us to the realm of atmospheric science and climate modeling. Okay, so figure 1432A, which is in the top left corner here. Man, weird. Okay. So remember again, we are in 2015 and we're actually below this number. I mean, here's 40 gigatons, and these authors were predicting we'd be above 40 by 2050, which it looks like we probably won't be. So this is, somewhat good news. This is the parts per million CO2 in the atmosphere. I think globally it's now above. It's actually now above 400 for the first time in 600,000 years, something like that. I think. And so these are different scenarios, and the hope, the goal is to sequester. Now, who knows? Somebody might be working in the lab somewhere right now, building, extracting enzymes from different plants, bacterias that you just wave it around in the air, and the CO2 goes down instantly. I mean, it could be. There could be a biotechnological solution lurking in a lab right now. Bill Gates might have just, written the guy a $10 million check to keep the thing rolling. Somebody else is going to get the license to mass produce it, and then we're all going to drive around with little algae blankets on the hoods of our cars that suck it in CO2 faster than we can make it. Could be. But for the time being, and that's kind of always been, the hope of technology. That someone's working on a cool technology that could revolutionize all this stuff. Okay, but it is very clear that these two are related: the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and the temperature. So. What our hopes or our goals are is that we remain below this 2-degree rise that leads to an acceleration of melting and flooding and all that. Didn't I hear that like a full month's worth of rain just fell somewhere in Ireland recently, or Scotland perhaps? It was just, so it's happening. It's no.
I was listening to the radio yesterday, I think, and somebody was like, "Are you telling me climate change isn't real? We're having flooding in Montana in December." Oh,
yeah, it is. Troy is flooding right now, isn't it?
There was flood warnings over the last 3 days where all the high mountain snow is melting, plus the rain.
Yep.
And the frozen ground.
That's what's happening over in Spokane too.
Yeah.
Flooding and all kinds of stuff going on because all the high mountain snow is melting. And they're not predicting that we're going to get it back this winter, so it's just going to end up creating a drought essentially come summertime.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
At the Crown of the Continent talks at the beginning they're talking about by 2030 or 2025, there's just going to be no water, pretty much, if we don't figure something out.
Yeah, here we go. Lincoln County declares state of emergency 19 hours ago. You know,
No kidding.
yeah.
I got friends that live right on the river. Maybe.
So 2 days of rain and melting snow. Yeah, that is a little weird, Montana, December, melting snow. This is where the snow is supposed to build up, not, yeah.
The last winter, November was the coldest month. November 2013 was the coldest month of all last winter.
Coldest month this year too, thus far anyway.
Yeah, so far,
It got damn cold.
last week of November, first week of December.
December's been, ooh, baby. It was 50 degrees with a low of like 44 the other night. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shnikes. My scooter was running really good. It likes 50 degrees. It does not like 20.
December through January, we call our ice jam set season. Oswald said we usually get a spurt of rain and warm temperature, and that's what caused the flooding. This year we're lucky. Libya and Troy received it's not a whole lot of rain, just a few inches, but
Sitting on the top of frozen ground.
yeah, right. The water, the ground can't absorb it.
And then compile that with the melt.
Yeah. Okay. We're really very close to the end here, so let's just finish this chapter off and call it good. It says, in the long term, it is likely that CO2 emissions will have to be reduced. In 102, we'll read a book that talks about how long it does take nature just to resorb CO2. In the long term, it is likely that CO2 emissions will have to be reduced to the possible natural uptake of the planet, rather than the technological one that I just mentioned. How do we technologically absorb it? Which is estimated to be, I did not know. Okay, so that's so right there in the book, I'm just looking at page 617, it says that nature can absorb 4 billion tons per year. And yeah, that's a good one. Remind me when we get into 102, remind me when we get into 102 next year. So this number right here, that's what nature absorbs each year. Just, the living photosynthetic organisms.
But that's also based upon where and how much it's at. That's nature considering the entire Earth as the filter for that.
It's true. Yeah, it's the global filter. On the other hand, the atmosphere is pretty well mixed. I mean, you're going to see some local variations in CO2, but in these
and everything else.
It's pretty well mixed. Some CO2 molecule that's being emitted in China right now could be here in a week, pretty easily, no problem. A dust storm that kicks up in the Sahara could settle somewhere, in the Carolinas in the same amount of time, a week or so to get across the ocean. I mean, that's how fast sailboats do it. Sailboats can crank the Atlantic in 8 or 9 days if they're really hauling, and they're not going as fast as the wind. So yeah, the atmosphere is pretty well dispersed. Okay, so that's a good number. No, I had not seen that before, but 4 billion tons per year, this is what nature sucks in au natural.
So we're over 10 10 times nature's ability to consume.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've read this book about 10 times now. I hadn't seen that number before, but what it would be fun to do is take that 4 billion tons and then look at it through the lens of Shramsky, which just came out this year, because they're talking about the carbon balance, and it looks like we as a species consume about a quarter of all of the new biomass. That sounds pretty high too, but man. Anyway, okay. Let's read this. There's a little bit of talk of investment, and I think we are to that point now where some of our wealthier leaders are in fact doing this. It has urged a reduction in inefficient and wasteful subsidies to conventional energy sources. We saw that before. Like a lot of these conventional energy companies are in fact subsidized, which is estimated to 500 to 700 billion per year, compared to renewables, which are more like 57 billion, so only 10%. It has highlighted the increasing attractiveness of investment in renewable sources, not only in financial terms, but also in terms of energy security. So not sending people halfway across the planet to guard oil fields. Climate change mitigation and job creation. Sounds like a win-win-win to me. It's calculated to build a green economy for the world, including a sustainable energy system, but extending well beyond it. It will require an investment of $1.2 trillion a year, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's only 1 to 2% of global GDP. So you stick $1 to $2 out of every 100 into this problem, and we should be able to kick it. This does not seem to be an excessive price to pay to achieve such a desirable outcome, namely not destroying the planet. Okay. Hydrogen's mentioned here, fuel cells, we talked about hydrogen a little bit, energy supply, changing the supply and reducing the demand. Yeah. Well, I'm fairly encouraged. It seems like the vast majority of people alive today realize what needs to be done. So, yeah, a lot of the poor politicians just don't have their heads screwed on right. Time to change them too. Time to renew them as well.
I took this quiz. What politician should I vote for? And one of this little sections that you can scroll through and click on about your own views versus theirs is climate change.
Okay.
And global warming.
Yeah.
And all but one politician out of 30 that were in the running for presidency right now all say that climate change and global warming are not a factor, that they either don't exist or the science behind it is invalid. All but one. And our future President Trump, one of the world's wealthiest men, says it's not a big deal.
Well, I think Trump wants to destroy the planet through weapons technology, not energy technology. It sounds like he's ready to start. He's got his finger on the. As soon as he gets in there, he'll just push the button.
Where's the button?
He's not, it's just, dude, it's scary, man.
Someone said where's the button.
Well, anybody who's listened to the man speak on any of his game shows has got to be pretty scared that he's potentially our next president.
Bernie Sanders.
Well, a lot of people dig him. Think he's cool.
Bernie Sanders.
Poor Bernie's not much of a leader.
Yeah, I think we're